we will start with 10 times of Om chanting. Okay? Take a deep breath. Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshwara, Guru Sakshat Parabrahma, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Gurave Sarvaloganam, Vishaje Bhavaroginam, Nidaye Sarvavidyanam, Dakshinamurtaye Namaha. I bow to Shiva in his form as Dakshinamurti, the universal teacher who takes away the troubles of mortal life and takes us to eternal enlightenment. I bow to all of you noble souls who have assembled here this evening. So today subject which has been given to me by Daya is on Shiva. So now Shiva, in the whole enormous pantheon of Hindu gods, Shiva is unique in as much as he was the first, the Adi Deva. He was the Adi Deva, the very first of all the gods. So he, you see him actually long before the very dawn of creation. He was seen as the divine archer pointing his arrow to that supreme Brahman to which he wants all of us to attain to. So that's the first glimpse we have of him actually. Then you find that at the dawn of civilization, all the various tribes who roamed across the subcontinent of India, they worshipped him with different types of narcotics and drugs and using many types of esoteric rituals and so on. So after that, next we see him in the terracotta seals of the Indus civilization of Harappa and Mohenjo-daro, where he is depicted as Pashupati, surrounded by beasts. But this has Pashupati means Lord of Beasts, actually. But it has an esoteric meaning because actually we are all, I'm sorry to say, we are all beasts or animals, because we all have our animal origins, as you know. So he is the Lord of all of us, and he helps us to overcome our bestial nature and become at least humans, good human beings, because only after you become human can you even aspire to become divine, which is our true nature. So that is one of his aspects which you see him. We also see him in the seats in various different meditative postures, because he's also known as the Adi Yogi. Next, next step is when we see him in the Rig Veda itself, which actually depicts him as Rudra, the roarer. So we'll come to that later. So he is supposed to be the first emanation of that Brahman. And that first emanation was in the form of a pillar of fire, a huge pillar of fire, which is supposed to have appeared in the present town of Tiruvannamalai, on the hill of Arunachala. And this huge column, in fact, this is such an ancient thing, because this appearance of that pillar of fire through all these thousands of years. Even today, it is being commemorized by people lighting a bonfire on top of that Arunachala on the night of the full moon day of the month of Kartika, which is about to come now, which is actually, this year it is coming on December 3rd. So if you want to fly off to see this phenomenon, you may do so. There's still time. So this pillar of fire, in fact, all the devotees, they love to carry wood and oil and so on to the top of this hill to try and light this bonfire, which can be seen for literally miles around the place. Despite all the building ups and so on, still it is to be seen for miles apparently. Now, this pillar, at that time, now of course, not now, but in those times, it was said that when this pillar appeared, Brahma and Vishnu were also there. So what they were doing there, I don't know, but they were there. So then a voice appeared from the fire to say that, can you find out, go and find out the beginning and end of this pillar. So Brahma sat on his vehicle, the swan, and flew upwards to try and find out. Of course, he didn't succeed, but he came down again. Whereas Vishnu took on the form of a boar and bowled his way right down to the bowels of the earth, burrowed his way to the bowels of the earth, and he couldn't find it either. So he also came up, disappointed. Now, but Brahma, I'm sorry to say, he told a lie. He said, well, I have seen the end of this column of fire. And Vishnu said, no, I'm sorry, I couldn't find the beginning or anything of this column at all. So the voice thundered, Brahma, he said, you will never have any temples dedicated to you, and nobody is going to worship you. And that is what you see now. He's got only just managed to have about 2 temples in his name. Nobody goes there in any case. So, whereas he said, Vishnu, you will have many, many, many devotees and many, many temples. So that is that portion which he is supposed to have taken the form of Ishvara in this mighty form of fire. Now, Shiva is also the Lord of the 5 elements. In Tamil Nadu, you will find that 5 temples are dedicated to the 5 elements, which the one at Arunachal is the fire element. So that is, and because fire, of course, is one of the greatest elements, because everything when all the yajnas, havans and so on, which we do, things are offered to the fire, because the fire is a transporter of our wishes and things to that, the gods, whoever we are approaching. So that is another aspect of him which we see. Now next we have to come down to another of his thing. Before we do that, actually we have to find out the concept of God as is found in Hinduism and the Sanatana Dharma. Because all religions, what is a religion after all? All religions are actually, they are seeking after the truth, and they have a idea, a concept of God, to which they normally all their activities, all their ideas, are because of that concept which they have of the Godhead. Now, most, let's say all religions except for Hinduism, I think, their concept of God is that of it's a father concept, really speaking, staying in some heaven, some state, totally transcendent, and not only transcendent, the fact is it's a exclusive concept, that their God belongs exclusively to those who believe in Him, to worship Him, who adore Him, exclusively, because we all love exclusive things. We love exclusive shoes and clothes and all has it, perfumes, everything has to be exclusive. If somebody else wears the same thing, I mean, it's considered rather, beyond the pale. So this is an exclusive God, belonging exclusively to those who believe in Him. But now, unfortunate part of this is that if it's exclusively belonging to that, what happens to the rest of them who don't believe? Well, they had two options, actually. They could either burn in eternal hell, or nowadays, of course, they could also opt to get their heads chopped off, because there is no place for those who don't believe in the exclusive God. Now, the concept of God, we don't even call God, because the moment you say the word God, a whole lot of different types of ideas come into our mind. Everybody is squabbling, and my God, and your God, and this God, and that God. So here we call it the Brahman. It is that the concept of God in the Sanatana Dharma is of some force or energy which is formless, which is, despite the fact that we have hundreds and thousands of forms of which we worship, the fact that one God, we also have one God, and that one God or energy which is the highest of all powers, that is the totally all-inclusive, transcendent as well as immanent God. There is nothing, it's all-inclusive, and it doesn't care two hoots whether you believe in Him or don't believe in Him, whether you want to find Him or don't want to find Him. It matters not a jot bit, because it is there, it is all-inclusive. It's always available to all people, at all times, at all places, because it's beyond space, time, and relativity. Now, now we have to come, this is all, I don't think I'm talking off the cuff or something, but because you have to know all these before you know the concept of Shiva. So another thing about this world, it's a world of duality. This is a world of duality. That means we cannot have happiness without unhappiness, we cannot have good without evil, we cannot have day without night, and we cannot have beauty without ugliness. We know that it's the numbers are countless. So, of course, all of us would prefer only the positive side of this dualities. And unfortunately, we can never have one, because they are counter-correlatives. They cannot exist by themselves. If you have happiness, definitely you must have unhappiness. If you have unhappiness, definitely you must have joy at some time or other. So this is the way it goes. Now, the concept of most religions about God is of someone who is absolutely good, absolutely perfect, absolutely compassionate, full of love, compassion, good, omnipotent, omniscient, and so on. But then they were faced with this amazing problem, a problem which could not be denied, because they have to admit the existence of evil as well. You cannot say just, no, evil does not exist, it's a dream, it's a nasty sort of a thing, which I don't want to, which is what we try to do. We try to, cover everything up nicely, but the fact is they could not deny the existence of evil. So now what were they to do? It's a real problem for them. So they solved it in a very neat fashion. They created something called a devil, and on his poor head was put everything which was evil. Now, this, of course, which is one type of avoiding of the of the issue. But then it caused another problem, because now it appears that the devil is superior to God, because everything that God does, the devil can immediately come down and bring it down again. So now it looks as if God is not only not omnipotent, but he's impotent, because he can't possibly do whatever the devil does. So in the Sanatana Dhamma alone, we find that the concept of God is one which is all inclusive, because this world is his creation or his emanation from him. Therefore, it consists of both these dualities, and they have to accept it. And where else, if he's omnipotent, everything has to come from him. So that we have a God which is not only good, but also evil. Now, this is a jolt to most people. You mean your God is evil? Of course he's evil, why not? So in order to make us understand this, we have many concepts how the difference or contrasts are given to us to make us understand that there is only one source of power, only one source of existence, only one source of force which is upholding the entire. They cannot have a duality. It has to be a non-dual, Advaita. It has to be non-dual. The moment you postulate a division, a duality, you've brought him down to our own level, the human level. So then, the concept of Shiva actually portrays the whole thing in a very beautiful fashion. Because even when you think of his names, you'll find Shiva as I told you in the Rig Veda, he is given as Rudra, the one who roars. He came out roaring out of the Brahma's, this thing it said. But he's the one who makes us cry, and he's also the one who will take away our tears. Now, as Rudra, he's fierce, but as Shiva, he's auspicious, filled with auspiciousness. He's filled with all love and compassion and so on. So these dualities are there. Then, again, to look at him in his form, you will see it's quite, repugnant to have it. Because here he has matted hair and three eyes. Imagine, one eye in the middle, which thankfully he doesn't open all the time. But all the same, it is said that when he closes his eyes, the creation exists. If he opens his eyes, there is no more creation, you see. So then, matted hair and stuff going around, snakes around him, wearing elephant skin, skulls around his skull as his begging bowl, and ashes of this thing smeared all over him. So this is quite repugnant to most of us. On the other side, you find him as Sundaramurti, the most handsome of all. You can't, it's an amazing figure, Sundaramurti. I'll come to that. His avatar is Sundaramurti later on. So here, again, these two contrasts are there. Then again, he is Dakshinamurti, the supreme guru. The knowledge of Vedas were given to the 7 sages sitting in the mountain fastness of the Himalayas. It is said that he is the Adi Yogi, the Adi Guru, who gave out the knowledge of the Vedas, the Tantras, the Shastras, whatever you can think of. It was given to the 7 sages and sent out to the whole of the subcontinent. So on the one hand, he's that. On the other side, he's Bolanath, the simple, innocent, almost bordering on idiocy, which you find here in him. So then, in all his aspects, it is just amazing how this contrast, again, 1, 2, 1, 2, dark and night, evil and good, these are bombarded at us from all sides, because it is only to make us understand that there is only one force, there is only one, and from that supreme, everything has to come out, like electricity, for instance. The electricity, you can have light. If you press a button, you get a light. If you press another button, you get air. If you press another button, you get cold air. Another button, you get hot air. Another button, you get a refrigerator. Another, a heater. Another, which will, can help you to save your life in a hospital. Another, which can kill you on an electric chair. So But where is that force? The force is the same. The same electricity is the one which goes into all these different forms and energizes it. Similarly, we cannot say that we will only accept one and deny the other. If you do that, that is the cause of the human problem. That is the cause of our unhappiness, because we cannot accept life as it is. We want life to be as we want it, and life can never be as we want it, but you can adjust your life to accept whatever life gives us. So that is you have the only way we can go beyond duality is that the only state of non-duality is that of the Brahman. In that state, union with that is the goal of Hinduism. Union with that. At every festival we have, every ritual or anything that we have, all our Puranas, everything that we have is actually only an attempt or advice to the whole of humanity. Now go to that, attain union with that. That is your only way you can get out of this mundane existence. So this idea is bombarded to us from every side in the Sanatana Dharma. Unfortunately, this culture, though it has such amazing amount of not just information, wisdom of the ages are there. Unfortunately, due to repeated attacks, foreign attacks, for the past 600 years, unfortunately, it has declined. Not only it has declined, but it has also come to a state when we, the Hindus themselves, think that this is not we've been taught to despise our own culture. That is the unfortunate part of the whole affair, because that is one of the things that the British did for us, one of their gifts, apart from their language, of course, without which I wouldn't be speaking to you so freely today, for which we are grateful, no doubt. But because it was possible for us to go again, to know our enemy, which was when the invaders, the Muslim invaders came. We knew they were the enemies because they broke down the temples and tried to break down all the other, interests of this thing. But here the British had a very insidious way of undermining our belief in our own culture. This is the one of the worst things they ever did to us, because we ourselves, they sent all their elite, all the great to English schools and colleges and so on, so that where they were brainwashed into believing that their culture, the Western culture, which has existed with a very, very poor number of 2,000 years alone, was better than our culture, which has existed for over 10,000 years, not just even 10. Our calendar, how far it goes off, how far it is. Our calendar has existed for that. We are in, sorry, my time in numbers, our memory for numbers is very poor. But however, the Hindu calendar has existed for over 6,000 years. Whereas here you have a calendar which exists for only just 2,000 years. It's laughable, it's incredible, but still the force of brainwashing, you can understand how it is, that they actually taught us to despise our own culture. So this is the worst thing that could have happened to us. And therefore, the fact is that for the sake of, not just for the sake of our own the people of India, of the Hindus themselves, but for the sake of the whole of humanity, it is imperative that we bring up this culture once again and throw it open to the whole world, because actually it is happening in that way. But it is happening in a very insidious way, because things which are the best in our culture is being taken out, drained out of our culture, and transformed into something which is it comes back for yoga, for instance. In fact, some of our gurus even say that yoga is not a Hindu thing. It is. Why should it not be proud to claim that yoga belongs to the Hindus? All the things that we have, it actually does, and is based on our ancient culture of the Sanatana Dharma. So these things are being taken and brought out to the whole world in another form. They will change their own form. So this is imperative for us. As I said, it's imperative for the whole of humanity. If we want a human race, to a united human race, united. And it is only if we have this Sanatana, the ideas of Sanatana Dharma are allowed to spread and be understood by the whole world. Because that is the only hope, as I said, because this ability of the Hindus to see the opposites, to understand that these opposites or the dualities come from the same force, that is the basis of our great tolerance which India has had throughout the ages. That is the very basis. They did not mind however way you want to worship God, you may do so, because because we are allowed to worship in any way we want, but with this great understanding that the whole thing comes from one source. If that is the understanding that you have, you can worship an elephant-headed god, you can worship a monkey-headed god, you can worship the greatest of yogis up into this thing, you can worship a crocodile or a tree or a plant or whatever you like, but with this clear understanding that the whole of creation, the whole of nature has been permeated and imbued with that divine spirit which is there in everything. Everyone, not just everyone, but in everything, and has existed eternally for all eternity and for all infinity. Even though we don't even know what these words mean, it means that it's just some things which are beyond our ken. That's what we can say, because we repeat these words without really knowing what these words actually mean. So that is the greatness of Shiva, because in him is embodied these two amazing opposites. One side fierce and terrible, and one side calm and compassion. In fact, he's the most compassionate of all the gods. All the asuras worship him. His great devotee was Kubera, the king of the Yakshas, Ravana, the king of the Rakshasas, and all the great asuras, all of them went to him for a boon, because he never denied anyone anything. When that was another problem, of course, Vishnu had to come and see that. But the fact is that in his great compassion and his love for the whole of humanity, whole of any creature that existed in this world, and then look, what are his accoutrements? Most people, they fear and hate snakes. We run in terror when we see something waving with a tail and a hood or something like that. And he lovingly puts this round his neck as a scarf or something like that. They're twirling and twining all over his head. Scorpions and snakes and beetles and centipedes, which we all hate and desire. They're all running around him happily, ensconced in his entourage. What about his ganas? You know what the ganas are? His entourage. The people his followers, rather. His followers, you won't believe it, motley crew of the maimed and the lame and the ugly and the tottering, and some with 3 eyes, some with 2 eyes, some with no teeth, some with many, many teeth. All these funny creatures all make up his ganas. So there's no other deity in the whole of this amazing pantheon of Hindu deities like him. He's in his great compassion. There's nothing and nobody whom he could say no to. All spirits, whether malefic or beneficial or whatever, they all clamor to him. Now, it is because of him. And what does he do? This great, he as Nataraja, he's the greatest dancer, the one who has given all art forms to this country. Painting, art, music, dancing. There is no one to beat him for this. And yet, he dances to the tune of the cacophonious music made by his ganas. And in great abandon, he runs around and jumps about with them because he wants to make them happy. And another reason is that, left to themselves, these ganas cause a lot of mischief in the world outside, and only he can actually control them. And so he keeps them in check for this thing. So this is the amazing picture of Shiva. He is unparalleled in the Hindu pantheon, because he is one extremely compassionate, because he embodies that great Brahman which has everything in him. Can God deny any of his creatures? Can he say, you are lame or you are blind, I don't like you? Can anyone do that? Even a human father will not do that. How can you expect the leper or the lame or the blind or the idiot or the ignorant? What does it matter? They are all his own. Not only his own, but he embraces them in his all-encompassing love and affection, which includes everything, everyone. It doesn't matter what it is. So this is the picture of Shiva which is given in our Puranas, and it is an amazing picture. No other religion can form a god like his, because he is the one who shows us that, God is the same to every creature, not just to every human being, but the same to every creature, because it is his creation. How can he deny one and accept the other? Will a mother say, not look after her idiot child and only look after her, her brainy cutlet of a son or whatever, and deny this child? No, even if an ordinary human mother cannot do that. How can this divine father or mother, or whatever you want to call him, because he's sexless, really, that is sexless, how can it possibly deny one section of humanity and accept another section of humanity alone? So this is the amazing picture that the Puranas have given us of Shiva. Now you'll find in the Puranas, at that time, when the Brahminical contingent became greater, they refused to have a god in their yagas and yajnas, who were always going around and mixing with these rabble and the lowest of the low. So they said, no, we are not going to give him any of the offerings which are normally offered to all the gods during the yajnas and yagas. So that story is obviously by the Daksha Yaga. I don't know whether you must have heard of the Daksha Yaga, when the great Brahminical priest, called the patriarch called Daksha, he is supposed to have conducted so many yagas, and actually Shiva was he had given his daughter Sati in marriage to Shiva, and he was his son-in-law, actually speaking. But it is said that he got very angry because once, when everybody else rose up, when Daksha came into the Yagashala, Shiva refused to get up. And he told him, I will teach him a lesson. And he held another yaga, which that Daksha Yaga, special Daksha Yaga, was held in today's Kankal, near Haridwar. The Kankal, that is the place where the great Daksha Yaga was supposed to have held. And he invited every single person, every god and every demigod and all the other sprites and whoever were there. They were all the gods were invited except Shiva. I mean, it was he definitely left out Shiva and his own daughter Sati. Now Sati looked at all these people going around and they said, where are you going? And they said, we are going to your father's yaga. Haven't you been invited? She said, no. So she thought to herself and she went back to Shiva and told him, can't we go to my father's yaga? Everybody is going. Shiva said, we have not been invited and you should not really go to an uninvited party, my dear. So it's called gate crashing. So then, but Sati said, but you don't need I don't need an invitation to go to my father's house. Why should I not go? So he said, well, I advise you not to go. So she was very upset about the whole thing, and she sulked for some time. So eventually, of course, as all husbands have to, they gave him, after a bit of sulking around, he agreed. So he, much to his against his wish, really speaking. So she set off and went to the yaga, and not a soul, except for her mother. Nobody even acknowledged her. Her father went on with it, did not even look at her, and she noticed to her horror that all the portions of the yajna were given to every other god, and deliberately her own husband Shiva had been totally left out. And it is said that she was so angry that she went to him and said, oh, Daksha, he said, from today, one of her names is Dakshayini, which means the daughter of Daksha. So from today, I cannot bear to hear that word Dakshayani, if my husband calls me once Daksha, I can't bear it, because I'm reminded of the fact that I'm the daughter of a person like you who doesn't have even the sense to understand that what a great and a glorious personage Shiva is. And therefore, I cannot go back to him. He told me not to go, but I have come here against his wishes, and I cannot go back to him. And therefore, she is supposed to have, burnt herself in the yogic fire, and only her calcified form was left there. And of course, the news was sent immediately, but because Shiva had sent a big entourage with her to take her, escort her. They went off and told Shiva this, and it is said Shiva was so angry, he took one of his locks and thrashed it on the ground. Out of it rose this fearsome form of Bhairava, Kala Bhairava, and he, along with Kali, they went. And it is said that the Daksha Yaga, they could hear the mountainous sound of doom, 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 as the army of Shiva's army approached, and they totally destroyed the whole of the yaga, and they, and even Daksha's head, they cut it off and put it into the fire as a final invocation to the fire. They took off his head and threw it into the fire, and then they were happy and they went back. But of course, yaga, once it is started, has to be completed. So all the gods went to Shiva and asked him, please do something about this. And when he heard about, he came, and Vishnu came, and they all came. And somehow they finished off the yaga, but it is said Shiva was so unhappy at the death of his beloved wife that he is supposed to have taken that calcified form of Sati and danced all around, and mournful ganas crying and weeping, so that the whole world was plunged into sorrow at that time. And so they approached Vishnu and said, please do something, because unless he comes back to his normal. So Vishnu was supposed to have gone behind him and cut off piece by piece the different parts of Sati, which are the great we have 108 of these Shaktipeeds all over India, and where the different parts of Sati are supposed to have fallen. Now the next part of Shiva's story, I don't know how much time we have. So until 8:30. Oh, then you don't mind, we can go on with some more story. So the next is that the asuras, one of the terrible asuras called Tarakasura was there, and nobody could kill him. And he very cleverly got a boon from, after this, Shiva went back into his mountain fastness, and he just went into total samadhi. Nobody could get anything out of him. Nobody could go anywhere near him. And all these ganas, stood around weeping silently because they didn't know what to do. He was not there anymore. So then Tarakasura is supposed to have got a boon from Brahma that only the son of Shiva could defeat him, could kill him. He thought that he was being very clever, because he knew now Shiva had become a total ascetic, a yogi, and he would certainly not hope to have a son. So then he was very happy, and he conquered as usual. You see, when you come to the world of the gods, there is duality. That's why there's fight between gods and demons. So that we've already come to from that state of Brahman. When you come down, there's a state of duality of gods and demons. That goes on all the time. So then they went and asked, please do something, because you have to do something, because we have to get Shiva out of this thing, unless he comes into, and he marries somebody or other, then we won't have a son, and we must have this someone to kill Tarakasura. So then what could they do? How could they tempt this Mahayogi to... So it was at that time Sati had taken on another birth as Parvati, the daughter of the king of the Himalayas. So Himavan, the king of the Himalayas. So she, from the beginning, from the childhood, she had grown up thinking that she wants Shiva as her husband. So then at that time, they didn't know what to do, how to make Parvati. Shiva has to fall in love with Parvati, he has to marry her and get a son. Now, how are they going to do this? So then it is said at that time Shiva was, in that Himavan territory. So Parvati used to go daily to worship him. But of course, nothing at all. He never opened his eyes. But still she would worship him, offer him things, do something, and so on, and flowers and fruit and so on. And this went on for many years, and he never opened his eyes. Then so the gods didn't know how to make him open his eyes. If he sees Parvati, they were hopeful that he might fall for her, and then he would marry her. But he never opened his eyes at all. So then they got hold of Kama. That is, he is Cupid. So they told him that please go and you have to shoot your arrow at Shiva. Only then he will open his eyes. So he said, Kama was very, very proud of his beauty. He was such a wonderful, beautiful person. And he said, oh yes. And his wife was ready. So the two of them went off and it said, of course, wherever Kama goes, spring follows. So the whole of that icy cold in the Himalayan forest turned into a beautiful spring with spring flowers and rivulets and dancing down, and all the birds cooing, and the doves and the deer, and so many things were as usual in springtime, you see. And all the buds were just opening out, and so he goes at that time when he was waiting, and he made the gods promise. Now you promise me that if something happens, you should help me. All the gods said, oh yes, we promise that we will help you. So, and all the gods hid under some bushes, and Parvati went forward, and she was doing puja to him. Now, usually, even if at some time Shiva opened his eyes, he would close it again. But this time, as he opened his eyes, just as that time, Parvati was right in front of him, and Kama shot the arrow at him. So he instead of closing his eyes as usual, he just looked at her and said, and he realized, why? There's something, what is wrong? There must be something wrong here, because, I can never be enticed by the looks of any woman. So then he looked around, and there he saw Kama standing, here I am, I've conquered you, the conqueror. So he turned to him and opened his third eye, and out of it came a huge, spurt of fire, and poor Kama was reduced to a bunch of ashes at the bottom. Immediately, of course, Rati started wailing and went to him and said, please do something, please bring my husband back. But in a minute, Shiva vanished, nobody was there, and they didn't know what to do. And of course, Rati ran round to the gods, but by the gods had taken to their heels, because they didn't know next time he might look at all of them, and they will also be reduced to ashes. So they didn't, wait to see the end of the tale. So they went off. Now they didn't know what to do. But of course, Parvati, at that time, the sages are supposed to have gone to Shiva and begged him, please do this, because it's for the good of the world. Because Tarakasura is harassing everybody and all that. So please, for the sake of the world, you should do this. Now, that is a plea which Shiva could never resist. He offered that if it was for the sake of somebody, his heart is so filled with compassion that he was ever ready to even go against his own principles for the sake of the world. So then he came, and most of these gods have very mischievous traits in them. They like to tease human beings. So again, he teased all of them. He came in various forms, and he told. Eventually, he agreed, and the marriage was fixed between them. And all the gods are supposed to have come. Now, Parvati's mother was Mena. Her name is Mena, and she wasn't really too happy about her daughter. Parvati is so beautiful, because she had heard some tales about Shiva not being, quite the correct bridegroom one would expect for your favorite daughter. So, but Parvati tried to convince her and told her, no, mother, I don't want anyone except him as my husband. So then it's okay, he said. So then somehow she was pacified. Then it's a very interesting thing when the bridegroom party comes. So all the women of the court of Himavan were looking over the, barristers upstairs, all of them looking at the bridegroom party coming in, you see. So Mena had not met him before, you see. So she only had her daughter's, description. So she was expecting something really grand. So first came all the Gandharvas. The Gandharvas are the sartorial elegance. You cannot have anyone else to beat them. So they're all beautifully dressed and coming in. He said, "What? Is he amongst them?" So they are. No, he's not. These are the Gandharvas. And after they came, another set came, and then came Vishnu. And Vishnu, he's the most amazing, so handsome, and you can't believe how. He said, "Is that him?" So they said, "Oh, no, that's Vishnu. I mean, that's not him at all." Then after some time, who should come? A bunch of wild hooligans and rascals who were all jumping up and down, throwing bones up into the air instead of flowers. Instead of people were scattering flowers, but they'd put little bits of bones and stuff up in the air and try to catch them, and shouting and making a cacophony of sounds all over. So then and then in the middle of that, there you saw Shiva with snakes twirling around his this thing around his head, and wearing a fierce look, and with his trident in his there, he was striding him. So they all said, "There is the bridegroom." He said, "What?" Mena fainted. She couldn't believe it. So then they all had to bring her to this thing once again. So then she said, "No way that my daughter is going to marry this man." And she told Parvati, "Look, you are not to marry this man. I will not have you marry this man. You can choose anyone in the world if you want, but not this man." So Parvati begged and begged. She said, "Oh, no. So then, Parvati, in her heart, she begged Shiva, "Please don't play this prank on my mother. Please save me from this and come." So then Shiva supposed to. So then he went back and then probably did a quick turnaround, and the snake garland around his neck became a beautiful garland of roses or whatever, lotuses or something, and the two little snakes became kundalas in his ear. And his hair, beautiful flowing hair, and he strode forward as Sundaramurti. That's why I said he's Sundaramurti, most handsome of all. And he comes into the wedding hall. So Mena was a little bit pacified, and the wedding took place there. That is, it is said there. So then, of course, that is how Kartikeya, their progeny was known as Kartikeya, Subramanya Kartikeya. And he is the one who was born in order to defeat the Tarakasura. So that is one of his stories. And the other things about him is that, I forgot, I should have mentioned this. To show the diametrically opposite sides of his character. There's the famous hymn called Rudri, which comes in the Yajurveda. And in that, he's praised, "Hail to the king of robbers! Hail to the king of brigands and rascals and rogues." You can imagine what sort of a culture this is, which could envisage that if there was a robber, if there was a brigand, if there was a terrorist, what was the force behind it? Only one force, one energy, and that is from one source alone, that God alone is that. So the Rudri is an amazing this thing to the king of robbers and the brigands and so on. So then he, to the second, in the Rudri itself, I should actually come to the Rudri itself. The Rudri is one of the famous, you might have heard it, it's a very famous hymn one of the most famous hymns to Shiva. We have four, even though we have four Vedas, three of them are the most important, that is Rig, Yajur and Sama. So in Yajur Veda is the middle one out of that. Now out of the 7 cantos in the Yajur Veda, the Rudri takes the middle portion of those cantos. So Rudri comes in the middle, and in the middle of that Rudri comes the Maha Mantra of Shiva, the 5-syllabled Panchakshari mantra of Shiva, Na Ma Shivaya. And in the middle of that Maha Mantra Namah Shivaya, the word Shiva comes. Na, ma, Shivaya. Shiva comes in the middle of Namah Shivaya. So the Rudri is supposed to be the eye of the great Supreme, and the mantra Namah Shivaya is supposed to be the pupil in that eye. So the mantra of Shiva is actually an amazing mantra. The 5 syllables stand for the 5 elements, because of the Lord of elements. He is not only Maheshwara, the God of the Supreme God. He is also Mahadeva, the Lord of Supreme Lord and Supreme God. And there he is extolled in the Rudri as that which is equal and all compassionate, all loving, and all giving to anyone who approaches him, anything or anyone who approaches him. So then the word Namah Shivaya is, we can say, the greatest of all the, we can't say everybody will say their own is their greatest, but the Namah Shivaya has a very powerful impact, because, as I said, it's the 5 elements, and these are the elements of which we are made. Our bodies are made out of these elements. So when we chant that Panchakshari, it's called the Panchakshari mantra because it is 5 syllables, and which is starts with Om, the Pranava mantra. Every mantra has to start with Om. So Om Namah Shivaya is the full mantra to Shiva. And perhaps we should, we can have questions after that. Yeah? So perhaps we should end with this thing with the chanting of the Panchakshari mantra for 10 times. Shall we do that? Om Namah Shivaya. 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 Now we can have questions if you want. Yeah, please stand up. No, we chanted 11 times. Sorry, I chanted 11 times. I finished the 10 and did one more extra. Yeah, because there are 11 Rudras. 11 Rudras. In fact, it said that Ravana was a great devotee of Shiva, and he had 10 heads. And he, Asura is very good at extreme type of tapas. So he said, unless you give me what I want, I shall cut off my head one by one. But unfortunately, he had only 10 heads, and there are 11 Rudras. So he just said that the 11th Rudra became Hanuman, and he was the cause for Ravana's death eventually. So, yeah. Yeah? Yeah?
In Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna stated that I am everything, and everything you offer to any devata, it all reaches to me. But it is indirect way. But if you offer anything to me directly, then it reaches to me. So I want to know, suppose this आपका Lord Shankar, या आपका Namah Shivaya, he is also all powerful. So I don't understand whether we should follow Krishna or Lord
See, as I told you, we have thousands or at least hundreds of gods. I mean, in the supermarket of gods which the Hinduism offers, you can choose anybody. Now, if you go to a modern supermarket, you want coffee, you ask for coffee. They will give you which brand? This brand, that brand, this brand. You're so bewildered, I just want coffee. But they won't have coffee as such. They will have 150 brands. So similarly, they're all there, and all are equally correct and good because they're all forms of that formless. Only that formless can take many forms, any form that he chooses to take. If you have a form, I can't take any form, I can only be in my own form. So only the formless can take on the form, any form that he chooses. And it is your desire, your attraction to that particular form that endows it with the power and pulls down that force and then which works through it. So you can choose Shiva, you can choose Krishna, you can choose Vishnu, you can choose Hanuman, you can choose Ganesha, whatever you like. There is nothing. It's what appeals to your heart that matters, because you've come down from that formless to the state of the forms. So naturally, having entered into all forms, that force enters into. You can worship electricity as a bulb. You can worship electricity as a fan. It makes no difference. It's only a change in form. There's no change of force or Shakti. It's always the same. The energy is always the same.
Vishnu says that if you worship me, I will take you directly to Vishnu Lok, in which you will rest and you can go even in higher lokas. So it means that Vishnu is all powerful and we should worship Vishnu.
But Shiva says the same thing. You worship me, I'll take you to Kailash, and from there I'll take you further on. No problem. No problem. It's our intellect which makes this force into one form, only one form. That is the cause of all the problems in the world today. That is the cause of fundamentalism. Because only my form is the right form and your form is the wrong form. That's the cause of all fundamentalism. Here we don't have that. We don't say that. You can go as easily to the temple of Shiva as to a Vishnu or Krishna or Ganesha. It makes no difference. To a Hindu, you can enter any temple and feel that same reverence and attitude which you feel in any other temple. You understand? So there's no problem. They all say, come to me, because then that reinforces your love for that form. It doesn't matter, because through that form you're supposed to go to the formless. That is the whole aspect, because union with that is the goal of Hinduism.
Okay, Mr. Goyal, let other people ask questions now. Okay?
Ma'am, I would like to speak only for 2-3 minutes.
Sure.
It's not a question. Just my reflection on these things, ma'am.
Yeah.
Shiva to me appeals as to a consciousness, the highest level of consciousness in whatever religion you form. And the stories and everything which were told, we just heard, had the opportunity to hear, where I consider Shankar and that thing. Whether it's Lord Shiva, he appears in multifaceted forms. Whether it's Vishnu, is the same, or is Jesus. All of them say the basic reason they say this, and which I feel, is that they want to come, they want us to come to that level of consciousness in which we can tune to the ultimate, the Almighty. We, with our limited being, cannot not imagine, but we cannot judge or God.
Conceptualize that.
Conceptualize and crystallize that form of,
Yeah.
which is formless.
Yeah.
So it is as per you want. A person may have rice as a staple diet, or a bread as a staple diet, or dosa, or whatever he wants to eat.
Yeah.
So whether it's Lord Vishnu or Lord Shankara,
Yeah.
the Ganas or whether they are very dirty or very clean or whatever form you love God, it will come back into that form. In the same way with Vishnu, the Bhagavad Gita also, when Lord Krishna says that you can ask me in whatever form, I will come to you.
Exactly.
And the same with Shiva.
Correct.
And it is, for me, Shiva, I've asked this question to a lot of people and I could not get a very an answer which satisfied me that why is Shiva being worshipped as a Shivling. But then when I thought deep over it, I realized that it is one. Everything in this world is duality. And it's when it is the one which is the creator and the destroyer all mixed into one. And is the opposites which are together as one.
Exactly,
Like Shiva
yeah,
consciousness means when it is still, it is potential energy.
Yeah.
When it's flowing, it is Shakti. So it is the same. The sum.
Yeah. Yeah, that's excellent. Excellent. That's very good. And of course, that you brought up the linga, which is very good, which I should have mentioned myself. The linga is actually the closest we can come to the formless. It's an ellipse. It's in the form of an ellipse. That same amount goes underneath as well. It's an ellipse, which has no beginning, no end. So that is why it is as close as you can get to the formless is the so-called form of Shiva. That is another amazing concept in Hinduism, yeah?
Of all the names of Shiva, when we chant,
Say loudly, Sonali,
Om
sorry.
Namah Shiva,
Mm.
does the two syllable Shiva
Mm.
have any special significance because of which we always want chant? When we chant his name, it's always Om Namah Shiva.
Yeah, because that is a five-syllabled mantra which has been given in the Rudri as the greatest of his mantras. He has infinite names. All the gods have 1008 names of all the gods.
Because like with Vishnu, we
Yeah.
usually chant his 108 names.
Yeah.
With Shiva, it's always Om Namah Shiva.
No, he has also got 108 names. All of them have 108 names. So no problem. But Namah Shivaya, it is a very...
Any special
it is a special significance. I said it is a pupil of the eye of the divine, it is said. That's what they say in the Rudri. Yeah.
Can you throw some light on Shiva as the foundation and Shakti as primordial power as we describe it? Another thing is, as I have come across, in the Shavtar of Devi, Dhumavati is one who is not paired with any form of Shiva. Whereas in her worship, Dakshinamukhi Shiva, he is already there, who is taken as the foundation in that particular sat. Can you throw some light on these aspects?
Yeah, because, all the gods have their own Shaktis. Without the Shakti, they cannot, because it's like the energy, like a dynamo, and it's because it needs a dynamic function. The Shakti is the Prakriti or the energy of that Supreme. That is what projects into this world of forms. The formless projects itself into the world of forms through the Shakti. And Shakti is always unconscious energy. Purusha is always conscious inaction, Shakti is unconscious activity, whereas the Purusha is always inactive pure consciousness. So when a combination of the two comes, that is how the whole of creation is manifested. So that Shakti has always been, all the gods have Shiva Shakti. And always you'll find the word Shakti is put before the Purushas. Gauri Shankar, Lakshmi Narayana, Radha Krishna. And so it's because without that, in fact, the Parvati asks him this question. He opens his eyes and tells Parvati, why are you saying you go away? I don't need you. So she says, you say you are, I consider you to be the supreme consciousness, but can you do anything by yourself? Can you construct this world without this? And I am Prakriti, she says. Can you do it without my help? Is what she asked. So the Prakriti is the energetic aspect of, the Shakti is an energetic aspect of that pure consciousness. And that is a dynamo which, brings out the whole of creation, bring this enormous differences which we see, because Purusha is actually inactive. It said that, I always say Prakriti is the playground for the Purusha, because there the whole thing is laid out for his delectation. We think this is all given for us. It's for us that this whole creation is made. Not at all. She brings out all these wonderful things in this world as a puja to him who is the source of her arrival becoming. She is becoming that. He is known as Bhava, he is being, and she is known as Bhavani, or becoming.
Now, could you share some stories of Swami Dayananda as you have met him and as you have spent time with him?
Yeah, okay. Any more with Shiva? Let's finish off Shiva first, yeah? Yeah. Prakriti is Maya. Prakriti is Maya because there is the illusionary power of and Maya is that illusionary power which makes, which binds us, which draws. It is duality, total duality. Because we cannot enjoy the world without duality, you know. If we had only, we always think, as I told you, the positive aspect of the duality is what we all want. But if we had only the positive all the time, we'd be thoroughly bored. If you're always joyous and happy, you know, we need a little. Now, for instance, when you're eating those who enjoy Indian food will always know we must have a little pickle into that. Then it has some extra taste, a little bit of ginger, a little bit of, chili. That's what really gives that zest to that. So you must have the opposite. Only then it adds to our enjoyment, yeah?
Created by Maya, we have to break the Maya to reach the Brahman. So what's this?
Yeah, that is the mystery of this creation, that this beautiful world of this, which our senses are being drawn out to them. But actually speaking, when you come to think of it, there is nothing outside us. You are looking at me now. Can you see me? Where are you seeing me? Where?
You in my eyes.
Where? Not in here. You see me, actually we all see me sitting here on the stage and so on. But how do you see this? The eyes, the retina forms a upside down picture. That's why in the 15th chapter it's called the inverted tree. It's an upside down picture. And that is taken by the retina, taken into your brain, and it's transformed into the picture which you think is outside. So actually speaking, nothing is outside us. Everything, the whole world is inside us. It's a very mysterious thing. So that is called Maya, the ability to delude us into. That's why, when the rishis said, "Oh Maya, everything is Maya," we laughed at them because we didn't think, but what they said has been confirmed by modern science. Modern science has confirmed that. What do they say? You think I'm sitting on this hard material, matter. What do they say about matter? Matter is only energy in motion. Can you believe it? When the rishis said this, that's all they said. That's what they meant by Maya. You are looking at some, your eyes are deceivers. Your sense organs are deceivers. They're liars also, because they're telling you something which is existing, which doesn't really exist in the way you see it. That now, modern quantum physics has verified that this is true. So then now we think, oh, maybe, but even then we find it very hard to believe that I'm sitting on a bed of energy. Please sit down.
My name is Brahma Agarwal from the United States.
Yeah.
And I'm very glad that I'm, in these noisy people. See, we in the United States, we have got a big challenge, especially of kids when they go to school, colleges, and all. And other people, belonging to Islam or Christianity, they make fun of us. They say, oh, you worship millions of gods, and God says animal God. And Muslims say you worship stones. In fact, I met a Muslim guy who said,
But they worship a stone also.
I'm sorry.
They worship a stone. The Kaaba is the biggest
Exactly.
thing which they worship.
Sure. Maybe there is one size fits all, whereas with us, like we are explaining, we have step by step, depending upon the inclination and all that. So what we did was we came up with a booklet, which and I need your guidance
Well, I've actually, the latest book is something called The Basic Tenets of Hinduism, Going to Our Roots, it's called. I think we mentioned it to you when we met that time. Rajeshwari has mentioned it to you. So I'm hoping to bring that book, because our only hope of reviving this amazing culture is to teach the right things to our children from childhood. Because this generation is gone, lost. We at least let us bring up forth a new generation which will have a proper idea of the greatness of their culture. So that book we are trying to project into every type of school, with different states, different languages and so on. And that's why anyone who can help us in this will be so grateful.
American students come to our temple, want to know about Hinduism, just like we want to know about Christianity, we go to church.
Yeah.
We want to know about Islam, we go to the mosque. Similarly, they come to our temple. And the only thing the Pujari can tell them is, we wake up the God at 5 o'clock.
Okay.
They have no explanation.
Yeah,
of
yeah.
God. So this is where we, just like you explained,
Yeah.
there is that Maya, and then ultimately,
Yeah, yeah.
it's all within us.
Yeah.
See, that's the highest
Yeah.
way of thinking.
Yeah,
So this is where we came up with this. What is the meaning of Ganesha?
yeah,
And the story of course that
Yeah.
Shiva cut off the
yeah,
head,
yeah.
and the 7-year-old girl said, Shiva being God, he should have known that. So there are a lot of questions by
Yeah.
our own children,
Yeah.
and they don't want to believe in these murtis unless they have a good explanation. So the way we have the books are fine, but we have to maybe through the internet, we have to explain to the whole world, first of all our own people. And I talked to an imam about this picture.
Yeah.
What is the meaning of Ganesha?
Yeah.
And imam says, oh, if these murtis have a meaning, why don't you tell the whole world? So I think it's time all of us intelligently.
Yes, because the mask, Hinduism actually wears a mask which hides her, like some beautiful woman who wears a veil to hide her beauty. She wears this mask in different types of gods in order to hide her real beauty. And it's part of the game. The harder the game, the better we like it. But we prefer chess to snakes and ladders after all, because we know it's a more difficult game. So this is one of the games which Prakriti plays with us, which we have to. But as you say, we have to start with our children. There's no other way.
So now we are putting this under the internet.
Ah, very good. Oh, that's very nice. Oh, that's wonderful. Yeah, very good.
I wanted to know how to balance the Shiva and Shakti within us, the feminine and masculine within us.
The fact is that it cannot be always balanced, because again they're in the realm of duality. So they'll keep, one will come up for some time and then another. Our own moods are like that. Sometimes we're happy, sometimes we're sad, sometimes we're joyful, sometimes we're sorrowful. This is a play of Prakriti and Purusha. So the only way we can get out of it, it's like we are on the seesaw, you see. Only way we can go down, either up or down, is to stand on the fulcrum, and then watch, witness the going down, up and down like this. So that fulcrum is that absolute, that supreme, which is beyond duality, beyond all types of different of form, space, time, desha, kala, nimitta. That is how the mind works. It's beyond that is union with that. Once you attain union with that, you can enjoy the show without get caught in it. Now we are caught in the game. Now you are asking which came first, the chicken or the egg. And this is a question which can be asked of any Western scientist, because Western science, Western things are linear. Creation is linear. It begins at one point and ends at another point. But in Hinduism, everything is cyclical. One comes after. Because everything in the world is cyclical. Scientifically, everything is cyclical. We go around the sun, the earth goes around the sun, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, again another Sunday, Monday, it goes around. In January, February, March, December, again another January comes. Wow. So here, I've got an article on my blog called time. It's well worth reading because that in our concept, the years also, every 62 years there is another new cycle is formed, and then that goes again and again until we come to the yugas. Exact number of years, even human years are even mentioned. That yugas again, there are 4 yugas, and then they take it. So the whole thing is cyclical, again and then again and again it goes round. And as anything which comes up has to have an end. Anything which comes in one spot in space and time has to come to an end at another point in space and time. Similarly, the universe also, which came to in some time, has to go down again. But that's not the end of the whole story. Again, another time it will come up. Again, the whole thing will be repeated, and endlessly. So you cannot ask this question to the Sanatana Dharma, because nothing ever began, nothing ever ends, or nothing is always beginning, and it's always ending. That's the thing. Of course, it's only in Maya. It's of course, everything is in Maya. What you are seeing in the dream world, it is very, very real, very, very real. You can, even psychological and physiological, these things are totally there during the dream. You might scream, you might perspire, you might feel heartbeat will go, somebody is looking at you, you can see the eyelids are going. But the moment you wake up, what happens? Is that tiger chasing you in the dream? Are you frightened of it anymore? The same thing is what they say. Once you wake up from this dream, you will not, you can enjoy the tiger, you can enjoy the show without being involved in it. Now again you are asking the same old question. Same. The only way you want, if you want to really know why the need, you have to catch hold of the person who brought out this Maya. So go catch him. And ask him that question. I'm involved in this whole thing, so I cannot ask him. Answer your question. Yeah.
Can anybody change the fate? What is written in Prarabdha, fate, it will happen.
What do you mean by fate or prarabdha? What do you mean? How was it made? How?
It was generally Janampatri. They say that your fate will be like this. And sometimes, if the Janampatri is correct, then everything happens according to Janampatri.
No, but what I'm asking you, how was that fate made? Who made it? Was it some god up there? Who made it? Your actions made your own fate, isn't it? Today I have a bad stomach. Who made it? Because I ate bad food yesterday. It's my karma which provides my future. I make my own future. So if I have made that future from that karma which I have, this your fate or whatever, that is my own karma. Not God or something else extreme alien to me. I am the maker of my own future. I am the one who has made myself into such a thing. So if I was the one, I can also get out of it. It is in my power to do those type of actions which will provide a better future for me. It's all within your hands. You don't have to approach a God. You don't have to approach anything. You don't have to blame anyone or anything. It's all in your hands. Don't blame the stars or the fates or whatever it is. It's all in your hand. It's your karma. You are the master of your own life.
Here I want to mention that the last time I met you, when we were going for Gangotri pilgrimage, you mentioned an analogy of having a quiver of arrows
Yes.
for past,
Correct,
present,
correct.
and future.
Prarabdha, agama, and the three types of karmas, and three types of karmas, yeah. Uh-huh. Yeah, so, shall we end with a peace prayer then? Yeah, we can do Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah. I didn't bring her. It's a very simple one. You can all chant. Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya Namo. Om Namah Shivaya, Om Maheshwaraya, Om Sada Shivaya Namo. Om. Shiva bless you all and enable you all to attain unity with that Brahman. Thank you. Hari Om. Shall we end with a peace prayer, I think? Om Swasti Prajabhyam Paripalayantam Nyayena Margena Mahim Mahishaha Go Brahmanebhyat Sugamastu Nityam Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu भवन्तु लोकाः समस्ताः सुखिनो भवन्तु लोकाः समस्ताः सुखिनो भवन्तु काले वर्षतु पर्जन्यः पृथिवी शस्यशालिनी देशोऽयं क्षोभरहितः सज्जनाः सन्तु निर्भयाः ॐ सर्वेषां स्वस्तिर्भवतु सर्वेषां शान्तिर्भवतु सर्वेषां पूर्णं भवतु सर्वेषां मङ्गलं भवतु सर्वे भवन्तु सुखिनः सर्वे सन्तु निरामयाः सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु मा कश्चित् दुःखभाग् भवेत् ॐ असतो मा सद्गमय तमसो मा ज्योतिर्गमय मृत्योर्मा अमृतं गमय ॐ पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः हरि ॐ तत्सत् Om Namah Shivaya.